I'm full of it. You're full of it. She's full of it. He's particularly full of it. I'm talking about history. In this library, there are a lot of stories. This is just one of them. And much was the gwailing and the gnashing of teeth. That's the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle. And what it's describing is the coming of the Vikings! We are history! Walking around Newcastle dressed like this today, I'm getting a lot of strange, even aggressive looks. But 1100 years ago, the only heads I would have been turning would have been fish heads, because all this was sea. Britain, 855, 100 ships off the northeast coast. At their head, the Viking king, Ragnar Lodbrok. Imagine this scenario. A massive Norseman has arrived. He's tanked up on mead. He's been looting, pillaging churches. He's been killing priests, raping Geordie women. What would you do? Hang him?
How about setting my couple of Rottweilers onto him?
Crossbow?
Just got knife and just like that, straight across
right,
the throat.
cut him across the throat. Ragnar Lodbrok. Lod meaning hairy, brock meaning trousers or pants. Ragnar of the hairy pants. His name may not mean very much to us today, but his spirit is very much alive here on Winship Gardens in Byker. Uncannily, here at this house, living with his mum and dad, is Terry Lodbrok. Yes, Lodbrok. 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 You can almost smell the history. Hello, Terry. I'm David Oxley, historian. You're Terry Lodbrok, Viking. May I come in?
Yep.
New evidence unearthed by local enthusiasts suggests that this is almost exactly the exact site where Ragnar landed. Terry's family may be Ragnar's direct descendants, and certainly the only Lodbroks we could find in the phone book. This is living history, and I've got just 24 hours to investigate. Pop the helmet on. I've got to say, Terry, you do look the part. Does he show any Viking tendencies?
Likes to drink.
Take hold of the sword. How does it feel? It's not bad, is it? Are you going to come out tonight and we're going to have a bit of Viking revelry?
Yep.
Are you all up for living like the Vikings did?
Yes!
Right, let's get them in. Terry's family have agreed to help me recreate a Viking longhouse. Imagine what it must have been like. Men, women, children and animals all together in one room. It sounds like some particularly unpleasant stag night film, but it wasn't. For the Vikings, it was real life. Now, oh, look out. This area here would have been a fire, so you people would have been burnt to a crisp. Some of these men here would have been wrestling each other, so let's get a bit of a wrestling thing going on over there. A Viking longhouse like this wouldn't have had a front door. It didn't matter. There was nothing to steal. Thieving only came along much later with the French. Back at the history van, we've got a computer reconstruction of what Ragnar's house might have looked like. So, Kieran, what are we looking at here?
Well, these are the foundations of the longhouse there. That's the wall. There's the roof.
I see.
And I've put some chimneys on that, because they'd have had them.
And who's that?
That's Ragnar.
This is shit, isn't it?
Yes, David.
We know that Ragnar loved to torture the local population. One of his favourite tortures was the blood eagle. Miles here has agreed to help demonstrate. Ragnar would have used a Scandinavian gutting hammer. It's a beautiful piece of kit. First of all, he'd have cut along the line of the lower ribs, cracked the sternum of his victim, slicing down here, pulling the ribs right apart, thrust it inside, twist it round, pull the guts out, holding them in front of his dying victim to see before he died, screaming in agony, screaming. Of course, there's no concrete evidence that this ever actually happened. Terry, would you like to have a go? For 30 years in the 9th century, Terry's descendant, King Ragnar Lodbrok, ruled much of this land north of the Wash with a rod of iron. How do we know about his rod? Well, I know because I'm a historian, and now you know because I've just told you. But even 1100 years later, much of Ragnar's Scandinavian influence is still felt here in the northeast. IKEA from the Viking war cry, IKEA! How do you feel about buying furniture from Vikings?
I don't hold any prejudices. I think free trade in the world today should be increased and promoted.
Do you still do the longboat range?
No.
No?
No, we don't.
I believe
Sorry.
it was available in 855 when you first opened here. Well, look, where's the prow? Because I think this is the mast here.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't going to work.
This is useless. Look, it's always the same with these things, isn't it? You know, the instructions don't even seem to tie up with this. I need something quite spacious, room for about 50 burly men, some animals.
You know it's not going to look like that, don't you, David?
These are the instructions for the Osberg longboat.
Yeah, but these
that is everything
these are the parts for a desk.
You can get 50 men on there at a push. Excuse me, I'm trying to build a Viking longship. Would you be prepared to help us?
Yeah?
That's good work there. If you could bring that piece in here, if you bring that in there, if you come up at the front of the ship here, then you can keep a lookout for any Saxons, anything like that. Alternatively, you could lead the advance landing party. Terry, is this bringing back any memories?
Yeah.
Yeah? Can you feel it?
Yeah.
IKEA! After a hard day of looting, raping and pillaging, Ragnar and his crew would need a stiff drink. Terry's let me join him on a night out with his crew. Vikings, let's go drinking. Of course, the Vikings wouldn't have drunk this sort of stuff. They'd have drunk this. It's mead. Apparently it's got quite a kick. Let's just see. Ragnar's delinquent behaviour could only go on so long. Here's to Ragnar.
Yeah.
Without him, we'd never have met. He was bound to annoy someone. Terry, do you know if we might be able to find any virgins to take back to the ship?
In Newcastle.
After a heavy night on the mead, Ragnar was captured and thrown into a pit of snakes. The sagas tell us he died. It's unclear what happened to the snakes. Ragnar was given the full burial due to him as a Viking chieftain. He would have been lain in state on his finest ship. So what have we learned about the Vikings? Well, that they were murderers, looters and pillagers. But they were also so much more. You know, there really is nothing like a Dane. Bye.
David, you all right?
I've got mead sick on me.
Tony Robinson would have a drink on set, you know.
I heard that.
Oh, he got me trainer.
Where's Terry? Terry!